I noticed on a comment the other day, actually Kathleen said she mentioned she was giving some advice on someone's styling and suggested that we should do, she actually said a podcast, and I agree with her, and we probably will get something together. But I thought probably not a bad idea to jump in and do something on this today. Now, I just want to really clarify, I am not a property stylist. I am a renovator. But, just like you, I've got a bit of a flair for making rooms look beautiful in my eyes. So I'm qualify that. And I've worked with a lot of property stylists who've been styling my properties, and there are lots of tips and tricks that they use to really get a great look. And most of them are really cost effective, and they're things that we can be doing. And so certainly for my projects, most of my projects I style myself. If I've got something that requires the purchase of furniture where it's not economical to, then obviously I do use stylists. And so I certainly pick up a lot of tricks along the way. So I have sought some inspiration from some of the local stylists, and I've got 7 tips to share with you today. And the first one was the one that actually started this all off, which is what Kathleen mentioned. And so it's in terms of having a bed look like it's been professionally styled, and it's basically how you fold back the doona to create like a sausage across the middle of the bed. And what that does is it gives the bedding more depth, makes the bed look much more professional, and also shows off the sheets, because you'll make a bed with beautiful sheets, but then you can't see them. I really like this look. I think it definitely adds a level of professionalism. And this particular image came from Coco Republic. You can see that they've got lots of cushions on, which we also do when styling property, because that just adds to the lushness of it. My husband complains about the number of cushions on our bed, which I'm sure you've heard that complaint before, but this bed is not going to be slept in, so you can go to town on it. The other thing to notice here, which I really love, this is a look the 3 birds use a lot, is the sheepskin, or that's a Mongolian sheepskin, over the stool, casually lying over the stool. Definitely adds to the professionalism of the presentation. So the next one is to use feather cushions. Now, unfortunately, my darling son, who is vegan, has really ruined this for me, because he told me that I shouldn't be buying feather cushions because most of them come from China, and the feathers are very inhumanely sought. But fortunately, I had quite a good stock of them, which I had bought from IKEA. But they do have just a much nicer, plumper look. And of course, there's the good old karate chop in the middle, which has become a really common way to present them. Like, I always am in a bit of a quandary with the types of cushions, because looking too matchy is not, it's not a thing these days. So really going for some variation in your cushions and not being too matchy or symmetrical is a preferred look. This image is compliments of Furnish and Finish. They're a styling company on the Northern Beaches, and yeah, looks lovely. So as I said, IKEA have a big range of feather cushions. You can get them from as big as 65 centimetres square, and rectangular ones down to, I think the smallest is around 30 or 35, I think, and very reasonably priced. So another styling tip that that most of the professional stylists use is that they literally throw the throw. Don't arrange it neatly, but because it looks more, I guess, lived in, which is part of what we're trying to do, lived in but not lived in. While with our styling, we do want the property to look like it came straight out of a magazine, we also want to, I guess, sell the dream that this is what your life's going to be like when you're living in this beautiful home. This image is from Spatial Property Styling, who operate around us actually. Okay, this is a really good little tip that you see around a lot, and that's the candle in the cloche. Now the cloche is the glass container that, or sort of cover that goes over anything, but just by putting a candle covering it with the glass cover just adds a level of, professionalism and just makes it look a bit more special. And you don't have to just stick with candles. There's lots of things, I've just often used an organic looking ornament or a piece of coral. So coral's very in. And I actually bought a selection of these from Kathleen actually in one of her garage sales. So I've got a few and they make quite a handy little piece to have and use in your styling. You find that, I'm sure a lot of the stylists that collect their own furniture have these tried and trusted things that they bring out with every job. And actually, I think I've seen those. I think Kmart have them too. So those the cloche, using to cover a candle or a plant or a piece of coral or something small and that you can make a feature out of. Now, another great tip, and this also comes from Kathleen from Twisted Lime, is to make a vignette or create a vignette in a tray, or here it's a basket. The whole thing creates a focus for a table or a sideboard or a coffee table, and it gives it cohesion because it's all contained in the tray. Quite a clever idea. When you're grouping things on a table, you want to stick to groups of 3 if possible, because 3 is an odd number and seems to look the most appealing. The other thing, and this I learnt from Emma Bloomfield, who's also a property stylist, that you want to think about the size and the bulk of the item, so varying that. So you can see here that the pineapple is quite plump and big. The coral is smaller and more compact, and then you've got a completely different shape with the book. So they all seem to work together really well. But if they're all too much the same size, same shape, just wouldn't work so well. So really varying that. Okay, so another thing that I see quite a lot, and this is from Bowerbird. Bowerbird do a heap of styling in our area. In fact, this week's podcast, I interviewed Tim, one of our students, and he just recently renovated and sold an apartment, and he actually used Bowerbird in his styling. And what they do, they don't use flowers or anything, they just use some greenery foliage, and it can be as simple as a vase with just one leaf in it. Now, from a maintenance point of view, that is so much easier, because when you put flowers, like fresh flowers, in a property, I don't know what it is about a property that's not got anyone living there, but they just die really quickly. So when we use fresh flowers, another tip that I learned from a student was, like, if I put flowers in there, I go in after the open and wrap them up in cling wrap and put them in the fridge so that they keep. Otherwise, you're spending quite a lot of money on flowers through the course of the campaign. But just having plain foliage, this is great for Airbnb hosts too. So if you're wanting it, it just makes a difference having something living. There's a big move away from fake plants. So I actually don't really use fake plants much these days. We try and go for real if we can. But this is a great way of, having something that's a contrasting colour and it's living, and it just makes a difference. And it's dead easy to do. So interesting, really simple white vase with the dark green foliage, maximum contrast against the white background. So this is a variation on the tray idea, once again from Kathleen at Twisted Lime. So basically what she's got here is a cutting board that she's done the same thing. So you can see pretty simple arrangement. That is actually a vase of flowers there, but it wouldn't fit on the slide, but just some mineral water, an ornament like an artichoke, a China artichoke, and a bowl of pink salt, and that's it. But once again, it contains and creates a vignette, which is a nice finish, and you get more impact if it's grouped together rather than separated. And this is my lucky last tip, and this image from Kontrast Interiors, and they're a Perth company, and this is a stack of books. So really, really simple. So they've put a plant on top, but it's just got a nice shape, and it's a nice contrast against the plant. Christine says that there are great, well-priced real plants at IKEA. But another variation on this, and another interior designer friend of mine actually covers books in some dark paper. So she has some books that she just got from the op shop, which she has covered in black paper, and uses them as styling props. And once again, another way to create some interest with your styling without having to go out and buy heaps of stuff. Okay, so that's the end of my little prezzo today. I'd really love to know whether you've got any secret styling tips that you'd like to share with everyone. So I think one of the things that unites us in this group is we all love making homes more beautiful. And that has definitely been the story of my life. I've started renovating out of a desire just to renovate, nothing else. And sometimes that can be a bit of a trap because you tend not to be focused enough on the things that you should be to actually get an outcome other than just a beautiful home. But it certainly is a great way to improve the look of a home. And even with the makeovers that we've been doing in this group, it has a big impact. Like I noticed that on my benches and like sideboards, we tend to get this selection of odd stuff because things just get put somewhere and just, put there because it's somewhere to put it. And just by clearing off like our sideboards and restyling them gives a lot of impact without actually putting anything new there, just working with what you've got. So great idea. So if there's anything you'd like us to cover in these weekly lives, I'm happy to respond to your suggestions. And I hope you're all going really well with your lockdown activities. Oh, Christina Reed says she loves to watch Steve Cordoni. I don't even know who he is, so I'll have to go and have a look. Great inspiration. Great. Okay, thanks for that. On that note, I am going to head off. I'm flat out recording the last few videos of our Airbnb course, and I've got a bottle of champagne in the fridge for tomorrow night because I've promised myself I'm going to be finished tomorrow. That will mean over the last couple of months I've recorded something like 80 new videos. So it's been a mammoth effort and I'm excited. So thank you and enjoy the week.